Hello and welcome to Lead Me Home. I am Mary Beth Maestre. My next guest gave me the Beatitudes as his verse, and I took the ones from Matthew 5, 1-7 as one of his special Bible verses. So let me read a few of those Beatitudes because you're going to see how they relate to his story. So let's go through a few of them. And these are, like I said, Matthew 5. It says, "How blessed are the poor in spirit. The reign of God is theirs. Blessed too are the sorrowing. They shall be counseled. Blessed are the lowly." I like this one. "They shall inherit the land. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for holiness. They shall have their fill. Blessed are they who show mercy. Mercy shall be theirs." So those are the Beatitudes that I picked out. And as we look at this story, I was able to see a connection between his career, the Beatitudes that I just read out, and something I spoke of in a previous show, charisms or spiritual gifts. So as we go through his story, let us try to make a connection between these three things: career, Beatitudes, and his charisms. So let me now introduce you to my next guest, Dr. Marcelino Avila. Doctor, welcome, and thank you for coming on Lead Me Home.
Thanks very much, Mary Beth. I'm very happy to be here, and especially because I've always been a Catholic, and I do know some of the people in the church and the community here in Belize City. Although I was born in Arindrac town, and my father and my mother, who are Filomeno and Luciana Avila, and I have 9 brothers, 8 brothers or sisters. I'm exactly the middle one. I have 3 brothers, 3 other brothers.
Big
and
family, eh?
5 sisters, yes. And we grew up in Arindrac of a farm family. In fact, very, very low in income, so poor, but not poor in spirit.
That's right. Expect some, like the Beatitudes,
yes,
right?
yes.
Not poor in spirit.
Unfortunately, my mom passed away when I was 14 years old in the first year in First Farm, Muffles College. But she was able to appreciate the meaning of education, and in particular high school. And she was very happy that she saw that I received excellent grades and awards in the first year after the first semester. So that was very pleasing to her. She died a couple months later. I was 14 years old.
Quick question. Had she ever graduated from high school?
No, she didn't. But she always said that education is the future for everybody, especially the poor.
Yes.
So
she wanted it for all of you.
She used to make comments like, if you don't want to go to school, you will be like your father. You will always work with your hands, and your income will be low. But if you get an education, you can go much higher, and you will work in the office, and you don't have to kill yourself under the sun, under the rain, and so forth.
Wow.
So she knew the value of education.
The value of an education.
In fact, though we were poor, 3 of my brothers, including myself, went to high school. And 2 of us went to university. And of course, I continued.
Yes, okay.
So we were very happy with our background. As I was saying, it was a very pleasant environment. While at Muffles, of course, Muffles was a good school. It's a Jesuit school. And in total, we had something like, I think it was 36 or 37 students in first year.
Back then, huh? When it first started.
And when we got to 4th form, only 9 graduated.
From 36?
36 to 9. And the 2 of us was Millie, my wife, and myself.
Your future wife.
Yes. And in those days, I must admit, we used to compete. We were not friends as such, you know. So.
Competition was strong.
Yes. But we went along, and I was fortunate to meet 2 Jesuit volunteers in my last year in Muffles. Since I always topped the class for 4 years, these 2 Jesuits, these 2 Jesuit volunteers, they decided that maybe they should help me to go to university.
They saw potential,
and they made
of
all the arrangements in Cleveland, Ohio, for me to go to John Carroll University, a Jesuit university. And they were able to convince a family there close to the university to take me on with free room and board.
Nice.
And so I stayed there for 4 years free of cost. And this family was very wealthy, so I was very happy there. And I was only supposed to be like a friend to the only son they had and help him along. He was my junior, I think about 3 or 4 years younger than me. But that was the main obligation, to help him along.
To help him, to be
and
a
to be like a brother. But we did very well there. I learned a lot about, because he's a businessman, I learned about business. I learned about working and saving your money. So every summer I saved my money. I worked even through the school year. And for example, after the third year of university, I was able to save almost $4,000 US.
So third year, and
yes.
let's back up a little. This would make you something like 20 years old? 17, 18,
I was
19?
17 when I went.
When you left?
I graduated at 21.
Okay,
years,
so somewhere around 20 years
yes,
old.
20 years old.
You have now saved
Yes.
up 4,000
I
US.
had saved quite a bit, and with that we reconstructed our home from a thatched roof into a cement house, and that was the first priority for myself.
Remind me again, what you were around the middle of the kids, of the children?
Yes, I was number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4. There
Okay.
were 3 older than me, 1 boy, and 2 sisters. And in fact, when my mother passed away, my father couldn't take it. He was badly hit, so he used to drink quite a bit.
Yes.
But he was a very hard worker, and he kept on. However, my older
As a farmer,
brother,
kept on as a farmer.
my older brother was the one actually who took control of the family, and he was responsible then for us. He was the older. I think he was 20 or 21 years old. And he actually was the main father, or he played the father role.
Became the father role.
And he raised us all.
And that's
He kept the
amazing.
family
Sometimes you hear it
united.
for the girl, but for a boy too, to take on that role.
That is right.
That's
And of course, the 2 older sisters, they were like mothers too, and they used to do everything for us. And they were very good to us. You know, they took on that responsibility.
So you had no doubts whatever in your mind to come home with this money to convert this house.
We had sort of an obligation to help. You know, everybody had to contribute. And I thought when I graduated from high school that they would ask me to go and work, because I know that money was scarce. But they did not hesitate to say, just go and study.
Well, they knew, They knew what was going to.
So when I came back in 1968, I was supposed to go and be a teacher at St. John's College. But I already had an interest in business and in trucking. For example, I brought back a truck.
Oh, okay.
And I was planning to bring more trucks. But after I experienced some setbacks, a motor vehicle accident, in early 1969, I decided maybe I'm not supposed to go into there. That
God
was a
giving you a
sign from
little
God.
sign.
I need to get serious about life and pursue my academic objectives. So I went to SJC and I taught in the high school and in sixth form.
Okay.
I had majored in sociology and economics, so I was able to teach several courses in the high school or in extension. You remember there used to be a SJC extension. And then I used to teach sociology in SJC sixth form.
Sixth form. Oh, so all high school, extension, and sixth form. Good.
And in 1969 up to 1973. In 1973, I went to the U.S. At the University of Missouri to pursue a Master's of Science.
Okay, how were you able to get that scholarship?
I applied to a Latin American scholarship program of Latin America, and they work with U.S. universities to identify opportunities and support for Latin American students, right?
Okay.
Postgraduate. So I applied to that. Usually it is with educational institutions.
Okay, but that one came from Belize? You applied somewhere in Belize or from?
It is available to all Latin America.
Oh,
so I
okay.
applied.
So you
I
went
applied
through
because
that.
it was the only kind of university at the time in Belize.
Okay.
So SJC was the sponsor, right? Under their umbrella, I applied for the scholarship. So it was a good opportunity. But before then, in 1972, I married Millie.
Okay.
And that was a big change. Right?
Now that was when you were both up in Orange Walk. both living in Orange Walk?
Yes, we were. Actually, we were in Belize City. I was teaching at SJC.
Oh, that's right. You had.
Millie had gone abroad. She was in England at the time, in Sussex, and she had come back. She was about to come back in 1972.
Okay.
So we had been very good friends for a couple of years at least, and we dated. And we decided to get married in December 1972. I went to study in the US again in 1973 in August.
Okay.
So for 6 or 8 months we were in Belize together.
Before you left.
I was supposed to go to study. I had some trucks and I had the trucking interest, the business. And we decided that Millie will manage the trucks with my family, with my brother and brother-in-law. But that didn't work out too well, so after 6 months, I decided that maybe they should join me. Because in September of 1973, our first son, Nazim, our only son, but he's the oldest, was born in September when I had departed in August.
So you had left your pregnant wife.
Yes, and then it was in January that they joined me in Missouri.
Okay.
In January. He was already 4 months old.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yes, so that was a good part of our life in the sense that we both studied. Millie finished her first degree there. She has a Bachelor of Science in Home Economics.
Oh, okay.
And a Master's of Science in Educational Administration.
Okay. So the family was together again now.
And our only son. It was until 1977 when I had already completed my master's and started a program on PhD, which I started it around 1974, 75. So I was already well advanced and just about to conclude my doctoral degree, PhD, in agriculture economics.
Okay.
In 1977.
Okay, so what made you go into that field now?
When I first completed my degree in Cleveland, Ohio, John Carroll University, I got several offers to pursue graduate school at University of Chicago, University of Minnesota, and one other school. But it was in economics, pure economics.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure that I should study that because once you make a decision like that, it has a lifelong impact on your career. And since I wanted to come back to Belize, I didn't know if there would be opportunities for me.
With that,
So I had done an analysis at the time when I was in Belize that I should specialize in something like regional and community development. Community development because it uses economics and sociology. Regional economics is a very good school also for organizing development, national development. And most importantly, for looking at the different institutions of development that need to be strengthened for countries to really develop fast for economic growth and sustainable growth. And those subjects are very well taught at the University of Missouri because through this program, they identify the universities that are very good or specialized on those topics. And at the time, they thought the University of Missouri had the best program. So that is why I went there. And I thought those priorities for Belize were very good. I had surveyed the situation here through my experience with St. John's College and the government of Belize. And I thought that would be a very needed area of specialization.
Okay, see already, like I said, we go back to the Beatitudes. I'm trying to link it in already without you even conscious of Beatitudes. You're looking at what you left behind, coming from a farmer father, you seeing what it was like to be a farmer in that family, your trucking business. You're seeing what Belize needed in the form of development. Huh?
And in terms of our spiritual life, we went to Muffles College. We had to go to Mass every day at Muffles. Every morning it was a sacrifice.
Right. Jesuits.
And John Carroll is a Jesuit university, so we take a lot of courses in philosophy of religion and education. I think I took something like maybe 1/4 of my program of 120 credit hours was in philosophy.
Oh, there you go.
The Jesuit philosophy.
Jesuit philosophy.
So I had something sticks, right? Something sticks.
Has to.
even if you don't want to.
We wish we had
something
more
will stick.
Jesuits
Yes,
teaching
yes,
and
yes.
more mercy nuns
That's
in our
true.
school, or
That's true.
any of them. We wish we had more of those in our schools. And of course, Millie too.
Yes.
Millie too was a good Catholic. Huh?
And I do remember my experience at St. John's College. I had to keep the sociology course in sixth form because that was the main reason they hired me. But there were strong connections between St. John's College and the university in the U.S., John Carroll. Their Jesuits are also unified, and they know each other.
Yes, of course, they're all
So
linked.
it was fairly easy for me to get an appointment there at SJC. I came with a letter of introduction from
So when you came back,
the then president, Father Schell, who knew Father Weber, I think.
So you had that to bring to Father Weber.
So the SJC thought also, well, he went to John Carroll University. He should be able to teach some religious courses, and we want a lay person to start to teach some religious courses. So in the high school, I used to change the subjects I taught. So I even taught a couple of religion courses.
Religion was on them. So whether you liked it or not, the Jesuits were right behind you. Your faith was there.
And I learned quite a bit from those courses as well.
I could
and
imagine.
dealing with the students and the problems they have in those days. We had already started to have some problems in the south side with broken families and the children, the young students at SJC, having a lot of problems with a very unstable and difficult environment, family and community. And
let's stop there. Okay, so you brought us right through up to the degrees you have and where you're going to go now with the job. So we'll continue with Dr. Avila's story when we get back, and we'll see how all this education he's received, and a lot of it backed by Jesuits, is going to take him further, into starting on his own career path. We'll be right back.
So many of us carry such heavy burdens.
You crazy!
Deep within, we struggle.
Come on, babe. Let's be fun.
Because sin separates us from God.
She's having a relationship with George.
But thanks to the grace of confession, God compassionately listens, forgives, and sets us free. So if it's been a while since you've been to confession or Mass, come home and experience a fresh start. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org.
Hello and welcome back. So we'll continue on Dr. Avila's story, and you can see where the education he's getting is going to build him up for the careers he's going to encounter. And we're going to go through those now. And keep in mind, it's like words I'm not familiar with, economics and agriculture and scientific research and all of this. But all of it, in the end, we're going to see is to help the lower man, the beginning, the farmers, anyone. He'll explain it to you because I certainly can't. So we'll continue on his story, and I'll let him tell you the different jobs he goes through. Okay, Dr. Avila, would you like to continue?
Sure. Wherever I went and whenever I got an opportunity, we always went as a family.
Yes,
and
wonderful.
I think that if there had been an opportunity that would not involve the family, it would not have been possible to go.
Right.
So that was the first requirement. And these organizations that we work with, they usually have very good conditions of salary, but also your living conditions, and schools for the children. So there's actually no sacrifice. There are very good opportunities for the family. And that is what they have to do, otherwise the people would not leave their home and go to other countries. So our first assignment was at a regional agricultural research and education center in Costa Rica. And they work in Central America and the Caribbean. It's called CATIE. And they do research in small farmers, in forestry and livestock systems. So my first job there was to be a scientist. It's like an economist in a team of people. And the second main objective was to teach economics to all these students who study agriculture, whether it's crops, livestock, or forestry, natural resources. So every year I had maybe 40 to 50 students learning economics. They're agronomists and other kinds of biological or natural scientists, and they're studying for a master's.
Okay.
And they had to take my course.
Uh-huh.
So it was a very good opportunity in the sense that we did a lot of research with the students as well. So I was able to do quite a bit of writing and a lot of publications of articles and scientific articles and the reports. And I got a fairly good reputation, as a good scientist.
Yes, I would imagine so. Uh-huh.
So we were there 6 years, and during this time, our 2 daughters were born, Gina and Janine. Gina, and
I know
Janine. too.
Gina. Uh-huh. Yes,
And they were born in Costa Rica around that time, 1980, 1982. In 1980, thereabouts, let's say 1983, I was invited to go to the University of Cornell. And Cornell is a very prestigious university. I went there as a visiting professor in international agricultural programs. And I was there for 1 teaching year. But after that, I realized that if I were to go international, like in Africa, and there were many opportunities at the time that I was looking at, that our benefit package or our salary would be much better. So I said, why don't we go to Zimbabwe there with an international center, which is supported by the Canadians for agricultural research. So I went there for 4 years as a project advisor.
How did Millie take to this? She was okay? She didn't mind traveling?
Actually, we always said, let us have this experience, and after that, we'll go to Belize. So let us go for 2, 3, or 4 years,
you were
as
young
the contract would say.
Right.
Yes. And after that, we go to Belize.
Okay, so she was for it.
But after that, you fall in love with these other countries, and you want to have another experience elsewhere.
Okay, so she was right there with you.
Yes,
so that helped.
We took them in tranches, right? So new experiences before we go back to Belize. We always say we're going to Belize after
this next one. You get hooked on it.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Go
So
ahead.
there in Zimbabwe, we had a very good program because we were adapting agricultural technology from the wide-scale commercial farmers into the African sector. That time was the independence of, that was about the time of the independence of Zimbabwe. 1984, we arrived there. And it was an excellent program. The African farmers adopted all this technology. We had great impact on agricultural commodities like grains, legumes, and even livestock. They adopted what they could, and they raised their yields, productivity, and income. African farmers were supplying more or less 60-70% of the food requirements of the country, whereas before it was less than 10%. So great impact of research.
And you were there, you said, about
from 1984 to 1987, 88.
So that's 4 years, you said?
Yes, 4 years.
That you were able, and to see it. When you left, you saw what had been accomplished.
Then after that, we moved to Kenya, Nairobi. And there is a center that works on livestock and agroforestry and crops. And agroforestry is using trees to increase the productivity and the sustainability of crops and livestock systems. Because trees and shrubs will play important roles in farming systems. It's like what we used to have here in home gardens. Or if you go to the natural forest, there's a lot of wildlife and a lot of benefits other than the timber that you can extract from the forest. So this center in Nairobi specializes in that. And so I moved there for 6 years. And I was a scientist. I was promoted to a principal scientist and a manager of a research program, which deals only with understanding the small farmers who can use agroforestry, and then evaluating the impact on new technologies, agroforestry technologies, on how it is helping to achieve their objectives.
Yes, okay.
So that was what our program did. We evaluated many programs. While I was there, they told me about whether I would want to go and lead a program in Mexico. That the Mexicans are interested, that this center helped them in improving their educational system at the graduate level after the first degree, for master's and PhD, so they can teach agroforestry as a high-level course or subjects of specialization. And in addition, to strengthen their research program. So I came to Mexico, and we work with 3 universities in Mexico. Directly, I work with 2 universities, the University of Chapingo and the University of Yucatan, teaching a research methodology course on agroforestry.
In Spanish?
In Spanish.
Wow. So that helped, not bilingual.
Well, from Costa Rica, we used to
You
teach
practice.
in Spanish.
Okay.
So I was fluent in Spanish by that time. And after Mexico, we were there 3 years. That was the only assignment in which the family did not stay full-time with us. They used to come for the vacations and so.
Because we're so close.
And I used to sort of come every 2 weeks, I was commuting. And but it worked out very well because they wanted to be in Belize because of the educational objective. They didn't want to go to school in Spanish. in Merida, I was based in Merida. But we enjoyed that period.
That time. Let's go back a little. I remember you telling me, because I remember I always asked for the thread of spirituality through it. You said in Africa, it touched you a lot, especially some of the masses you went to in Africa.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Throughout our experience there, both in Central America and in Africa, we always stayed close to the church. We tried to go to Mass every Sunday. We made sure that the children go through all the rituals and the sacraments, as they were growing up. And as I explained to you, the rituals in Africa are something very special, right? The people are very culturally oriented. They're very unified. They liked a lot of singing and so forth. So the mass will take a little bit longer because the choirs are just very good. They're engaging. They know a lot of songs, and they get the people are emotional. So it's really special. For example, they even have classes for the young people, children, school children, during Mass. But they're in separate buildings at different levels, like the elementary or the lower level ones, the middle and the higher ones. They're studying all aspects of religion. But before the Eucharist, they come into the church, over 100 of them, and their space is left open, right?
For them to come back.
For them to come in just before Eucharist. But they have their own activities. So while Mass is going on, there's a lot of people there in the compound, a lot of actions and activities that are going on. Groups are meeting. Church on Sunday is usually overflowing. The people are outside the door and
wish you could say that for some of our masses.
Yes, no, it's another experience, right? Yeah. And maybe it's because they don't have enough churches, or there's also a lot of people, right?
Yes.
So we are a small population, and we have several churches, so you might have a little bit of competition here. Whereas there, in Lilongwe was in Malawi, where we were, is a city of 1 million, 1.2 million people, and they only have 2 churches. So you can imagine what happens then. But after we left Kenya, as I was explaining, we came to Mexico. And then from Mexico, I came to Belize. And in Belize, I started in 1995 as advisor to the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Cooperatives for 3 years. That was with a UDP government. And then in 1998, when the PUP government came in, I became the Chief Executive Officer for the same ministry. And I was there for 3 years. Okay. And after that, then I went to Guyana.
Okay, but let's stop here in Belize.
Yes.
What were you saw your accomplishments here in Belize as well?
Yes, I was, when I first arrived as an advisor, it was a difficult time. 1985, our ministry did not have any resources and funds. Yes. It was very tight.
Yes.
So there I tried to employ the skills for which I was well developed already. How to write programs and projects, design them, so that we would be able to mobilize resources from donors, from government, from farmers, from anybody who actually will benefit from the kind of work we do. So I developed a number of programs with the assistance of other organizations that were around, 5 or 6 of them. So by the time that I became the secretary or the chief executive officer, actually we had a lot of these already funded. These programs were funded. So we had quite a bit of resources to operate with then. That is when Baja started. We had the programs with UNDP, with IDB.
Oh.
We had programs that were related with the Republic of China. And of course, we had several projects that the government itself was investing.
So, but you were the one getting some of all of this going with all your research and all your...
That was my main job, to see how I could mobilize resources. But you mobilize resources, but also you have to get your teams better organized, better leadership, coordination, make sure we have good vehicles, and make sure we're trying to manage the situation in such a way that farmers and the farmers associations and everybody who loves farmers will see the benefits of what we're trying to do.
What you're doing, yes.
You have to produce results.
You have to sell yourself.
You have to produce results and show that the ministry knows what it's doing and that it can create the impact on those that need it the most.
And of course, those that need it the most is all, once again, the farmer or the poorer
And
level.
a good project will always be good for the scientists or the technical person who are implementing those programs. It's good for the farmers that you are trying to help. And most importantly, it's also for the donors who are trying to show that we can invest monies, but then you have to show that you can do the job.
And if you do it, we'll give you more.
We'll give you more.
Yeah.
So donors will always be looking for good teams, good institutions who are able to deliver on what they promise. If institutions are not well organized, not well led, and they're not good at what they do, nobody wants to touch them.
To come back again to that.
That is the situation.
How that works out.
So that is what we try to do. Improve our leadership, improve our programs, work better with the stakeholders, we say, or the people that are supposed to benefit from our programs, and most importantly, show impact, that the project is making good use of those resources.
Okay, did you all get that? when I interviewed Dr. Avila, half the time I was saying, shh, some of it was way over me. But I think you have simplified it that anyone can understand what you're saying here. I am sure.
Questions about it, I will gladly.
If you have any questions, raise your hand. No, I think I understand. It's not something I do, but I totally understand. And that's why like I said, but what I mentioned, back to the Beatitudes, I just keep seeing it. When you told me the Beatitudes, it fits so perfectly because who is needing it? And like you said, it all three profit from it. The researchers, the donors, and of course the man who's going to be
the beneficiaries.
The beneficiaries. Thank you. My vocabulary. I've learned. Okay, viewers, we'll be back and we'll continue on Dr. Avila's story.
So many of us carry such heavy burdens.
You crazy!
Deep within, we struggle.
Come on, babe. Let's be fun.
Because sin separates us from God.
She's having a relationship with George.
But thanks to the grace of confession, God compassionately listens, forgives, and sets us free. So if it's been a while since you've been to confession or Mass, come home and experience a fresh start. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org.
I hope you're understanding it. Like I said, I'm trying to take it all in. And yes, I am. I'm just understanding the importance of what a job like this, starting up here, does for those down there. So, Dr. Avila, just for my sake and the sake of the viewers, how do you go about getting these projects? How do you, where do you find them? How do you go to get to Zimbabwe, or, we're going to talk about Rome or Costa Rica or Mexico. How do you go about getting there?
There are a number of associations, professional associations or networks or consultancy organizations that advertise positions that are available throughout the world. And there are websites or search engines that could identify people and places where you could find such people. Well, I am plugged into those, and so I get newsletters of information that is available. So whenever I want to move from a place, because of whatever reason, normally with these positions, I should go back and say, if you are good at your job, most of these organizations would like you to stay at least 5 years.
Okay.
Okay, it takes a little while to get established,
right,
1 or 2 years, before you start to produce. So if you are not a good scientist, they also don't want to keep you for more than 1 year.
Okay. Well, you obviously were good. You're 4 years, 6 years.
And then, no matter how good you are, they actually don't want you to stay for more than, let's say, 10 years.
Oh.
It's sort of a rule that is
Okay,
understood
yes,
about
I understand
international
that.
work.
Right,
Because they also want to renew their teams.
Get fresh ideas.
So that's why I would leave between 5 and 10 years. 5 usually was the ideal for us, but we would move on. The only place I didn't do this is at the Secretariat in Guyana. I went there as the program manager for the agriculture, industry, and services, or the tourism sectors.
Oh, okay.
But there was too much emphasis on meetings, planning meetings and discussions.
Now you're talking my language.
So I thought I
Tourism.
didn't want to spend 4 years here doing this, because then I won't produce anything that I can write or publish.
Okay, makes
Or
sense.
experience that I should be at this stage of my career, that I should be producing something other than minutes of meetings. So I only lasted there 1 year. After that,
I wish a few more people would leave.
I went to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome.
Okay.
And there I was the coordinator of a new program called Sustainable Agriculture and Rural Development. And what we are actually trying to do with that program is to develop new approaches to how local communities and farmers can participate in the way you design national policies for government.
Oh.
National policies usually don't have a very clear line of integrating the knowledge and the challenges and the needs of the grassroots people.
Right.
Those kinds of analyses are not done. So we were asked by FAO to develop some guidelines and methodologies on how to do this.
So once again, you had to meet with these people to understand what their needs were.
We had a team in Rome that I was the leader of about 4 or 5 people. And we were working, or we had an activity there in Rome of integrating information, but we were also doing field studies with institutions in the Philippines, in Honduras, and in Mali, Africa. And these were intentionally chosen because there are different systems of management in those places, you know. Philippines is like a U.S. kind of organizational structure. You know, they were a colony of the United States for many years. Honduras is Latin American. Mali is French.
Okay.
So it was important for us to get these different variants of institutional structures in our analysis. And the other thing about Rome, we were there 4 years on this program, is that Rome is where the Vatican is. It's a lot of activities happening in Rome. Rome is every weekend or every time. We were there 4 years, but every time we went out, we discovered something new that we had not seen.
I'd give anything to have lived there 4 years.
Yes. Everybody is nice except the Romans, because they don't like too many people coming in and leaving, right? So they're always kind of upset that the world doesn't respect them, you know, anymore, like in the Roman Empire. But the Vatican is there, and that was quite an experience. The Vatican is huge, a lot of activities. Janine joined us while he was our youngest daughter. She went to university there at John Cabot University, and she really, I think, enjoyed it. She even learned a bit of Italian, and she was there. We were there when John Paul II passed on.
Okay.
And with the election of the new Pope Benedict.
Of Pope Benedict. So you saw JP2 go out and Pope Benedict.
So it was quite an experience, right?
Yes.
Janine even slept out there a couple nights.
For that. Yes, like so many people did. Yes.
Everybody from Europe, Latin America, US converged in Rome. There were a lot of people.
It was totally packed when you saw it.
Every time you went to the Basilica and the Vatican City, my goodness, it was full. And people crying and pray, and all kinds of things. Right?
Oh, he was a favorite, wasn't he,
Oh,
John
yes.
Paul II?
And Rome
yes.
is very special, right? Because of the history, of
Oh,
course.
everything that.
But
So,
a lot
so
of-
that has to
yes,
touch your spirituality
yes,
as well,
yes.
huh? I mean, just imagine going to the mass at different cathedrals
That
and
is
some of
true.
these basilicas.
There,
that you're
you know,
going
you
to.
saw the grandeur of the churches and the basilicas.
Yes. Uh-huh.
We were close to Sao Paulo, so we used to go there. The Vatican City, we were also close, 5-10 minutes, you know. When there's traffic, it's 20 minutes. No traffic, 10 minutes to get there.
Lovely.
And there's a lot to see in Rome.
What a lovely experience. Okay, then you're going to, where do you go from there again? You finished
From
one
there,
year?
I came back to Belize, and there was a grant that was given by the European Union for the Belize Rural Development Program.
Okay.
And that is trying to develop enterprises with small people, small farmers, small producers, so that the rural people can have a way to generate income and business. As you know, many of our programs to help the poor are usually handouts, but that doesn't
Yes,
help
that
anybody.
doesn't help
That may
at all,
make the situation worse, right? It is best to give them the ability to produce and to develop their enterprises and to generate income. So we thought we would give them some funding. So we work with individuals by giving them between $1,000 and $2,000 cash to buy some equipment or something that they want to do. They want to do a barber shop.
Yes.
We can give them all the
The
instruments,
equipment to
right?
begin that.
If they want to start up maybe a cooking activity or a catering activity, we can invest. If it is a group, we can invest $25,000 Belize with them. A group of 10 people.
And I'm sure we have quite a few around there that profited from
we
that.
did
with their-
200 groups. We did about 600 small people trying to give them a grant.
Okay, wow.
And we also had some big projects improving some roads, bridges. The Cayo Farmers Market was built by our project during that time. It's a very good project.
And that's still going strong.
Yes, it's very good, and they're thinking of expanding it.
My goodness.
In
yes.
fact, we should have built, well, we did try to build similar markets throughout each district. But the best that is well planned and well organized and run is
It's
the
a
Cayo
the
Farmers
Cayo
Market.
People leave Belize
Yes,
to go
yes.
up to the Cayo
Yes, it's
market.
a very good market.
Go up on
and it
a
has
Saturday
potential.
morning, huh?
Yes. And after that, then, I already had experience of working with the European Union. So there was another advertisement for a position in Malawi. But a little bit bigger, because Malawi is a big country. In Belize, we managed a project of 11 million euro. In Malawi, it was of 44 million euro.
Quite a
But it had more things.
Yes.
We had to work on agriculture, irrigation, but we also had to work on roads and bridges. And then also strengthening district councils. You know, at one time we used to have district councils here, but now they're weak. Actually, they don't exist. Malawi, the district council is an important local government institution.
Sure, for the people of that
But
district.
it is big. A district council in Malawi is managing a population bigger than Belize. Because the country has 17 million people, right?
Okay, right.
And it has something like 29 districts, and each one has a district council. Some districts have 1 million people.
Oh my
The
goodness,
smallest ones have 300,000 people.
Oh my God, yeah. It's just to understand the whole concept of all
So
of it,
our
putting it
project
together.
tried to help them
Yeah,
to
sure,
develop their
prepare.
planning techniques, strengthen their teams, and most importantly, help them to be able to develop projects and manage our projects
That you
so
have
that our
set up
projects
for
can be successful with them.
Okay, well, let's get down to sort of your life today now. You've moved on. I mean, you've gone through all these amazing jobs in amazing countries. Wife there with you. Children have grown up now. You've decided what, to move back to Belize now?
Yes, since 3 years ago we came back. We enjoy life here.
Yes.
More busy than when we used to work full
It's always
time.
the case, yes.
But it makes us think, you know, about going to what we were talking about, spending more time reading the Bible. We have some very much interest in reading the Bible. We always continue with the Mass, the Rosary, attending like these special activities that renew your faith, strengthen your faith, and identify some possibilities of what we could do with
Okay,
the
so
church.
let's just go. You did Revive?
Yes.
So I've mentioned this before. So that was last year.
That was last
we
year
did
in-
Revive.
yes.
And that's, what we call that today, let's see where I have that. These are, to strengthen, basically to strengthen our faith. We call that one Encountering God's Love,
Yes.
the Revive. Huh?
Right.
And then we did that. Then this year we just completed Disciple. Huh?
Yes.
And that one was called Formed in
yes,
Holiness.
yes.
All right. So you did both of those.
Yes,
You've
I
attended.
particularly like the part about revive, in the sense that
Just pick this
we should think more about purpose in life. Not
Yes.
only when we get older,
which most of us do.
and trying to understand the value of and the significance of a role model like Jesus Christ and what he was doing and what he tried to do. Because he taught us the greatest levels of love and understanding and all the good things that all human beings should be very proud of.
Yes.
He was a great man. He was a great
That's our role model.
Yes.
So with these programs, he is
Yes,
our role
yes,
model, Jesus,
yes.
what he's doing. Eh?
Yes.
So we're winding down, but I wanted to show you now once again, when I spoke of the Beatitudes, you can see now, after you've heard what Dr. Avila's jobs and projects and researches and everything has been about, it's to benefit the lowly, more of the lowly, to help uplift them
Yes,
in
yes.
any and every way that you could. And
that is right.
that's that. So I linked it back to the Beatitudes.
Because if you really want to see the essence of Jesus Christ, he's actually thinking more about how you can be a missionary disciple.
Right.
In ordinary terms, we say a leader, an authentic leader.
Oh, there you go.
An
Authentic leader.
That was Jesus Christ.
Nice,
And in that sense, if one could follow that example,
Yes.
then you would know exactly what actions you should pursue and what you should do in the interest of trying to make Belize a better community.
better place.
Better community. And as you know, Belize is really faced with a lot of challenges today.
Yeah. And they keep piling up more and more.
Of course. And it is because perhaps these basic institutions of society are weak. The family,
That's right.
religion, right? People are moving away from God. And modern society and all the knowledge and all the experience actually is driving us to negative things in our
Yeah.
society. Right?
Yes.
And that is why we have so much violence.
It's pleasure for oneself.
Yes.
It's a selfish mentality.
Yes, it lacks responsibility and accountability. That's why you see so many broken families, so much alcoholism, drugs, right?
Okay, so what I'm going to add in, I wanted to add that other word, charisms. So we would say, I'd spoken about before, but we have our talents and our charisms. And basically, talents, what I've learned from it, builds up a charism. But the charism has to go on a higher level. Talent could be playing the guitar, playing the piano, whatever. But once you take it to a more transcendental or a spiritual level, then we call it the charism. And I also had this description of different, or we could call them spiritual gifts. And we have a whole list of them here. I showed this one time too. But I was trying to figure yours out. And I thought teaching would come in as a charism, to instruct others in a logical, systematic way so as to communicate pertinent information for true understanding and growth. That's everything you did in the form of teaching.
Yes.
And then I also looked at another one, craftsmanship. This is more for crafts, but still, to exercise the gift of craftsmanship, one must have or develop a skill, could be a hobby or vocation, and must be willing to share this ability with others. Whatever your skill or ability is, either in finished products or in teaching others the skill. And that's some of you too, teaching or the finished project, whether it be in farming, in agriculture, or whatever the other was, because even some of it was in animals, with animals as well. It was not only just farming. And then I also looked at mercy. I still think teaching is one of your big charisms, but mercy, to be sensitive toward those who are suffering, whether physically, mentally, or emotionally, so as to feel genuine sympathy with their misery, speaking words of compassion, but more so caring for them with deeds of love. And that could go a lot beyond. But still, in all of, generally, all that you're doing, takes on a spiritual level as well in your career, because it's still helping the lower class, or to bring them up to a different level.
Yes, so, I did the exercise, and of course I listened to the presentations on discipleship regarding these charisms, and I thought it's very much close to what we do in our area. For example, we teach a lot on leadership and management of these interdisciplinary teams. And we say that a good leader, an authentic leader, can do many things, but they need to have a very strong core values that are related to a vision and a philosophy.
That's right.
And therefore, out of that comes out the mission. So that is exactly what the presentation was doing, that they're trying to clarify for us, what is our mission? What is it that we can contribute to this community of our religion? And then we say that an authentic leader is one who is able to get things done.
Yes.
Is able to adapt and speak and communicate with all the stakeholders very well. He communicates with a team, communicates with the leaders, communicates with the donors, communicates with the beneficiaries, so that we all can come up with one consensus as to how we're going to move forward with this program. There are other qualities of the leader that has to do with that you need to know how to design programs to get the job done. You know about methodologies of how to do things, how to plan, how to implement, how to evaluate, and how to create impact. All of that is the charisms here. So when I was doing the evaluation of myself, I could see clearly the areas in which...
I could see it, yes. After I spoke to you, I could see where some of these charisms...
It's the same. The only thing that will differ is that in authentic leadership, in the type of work we do, we say we're covering these topics, and we're going in this direction. When it comes to our spiritual life, the mission and the vision changes, but it's the same core values,
same core values,
and methodologies that you are skills that you need to apply to be able to achieve your objectives, your mission.
Yes. Okay, Dr. Avila, I think you've said so much in just this short time that we've been here, and I'm sure you understand quite a bit of it, because I've come to understand it. And I hope you got where I tied it in with the Beatitudes at the beginning. Matthew, we can always go back to that. Matthew 5, and look up the Beatitudes, and how it ties in with our charisms. And each and every one of you out there, please understand, look for your talents, look for your charisms. We were given one. We're born with it. It's in us. You just have to see what is it that you love, that you are now using it for others. Discover your own charisms. Dr. Avila has certainly discovered his, and I recognized it as well. Other things, like you said, adoration and daily mass and rosary and time, giving time. So he too, in our show, Lead Me Home, he's come deeper into his faith and continues on that walk. So you're going to stick around Belize for a while, or you're going to go decide?
And I just want to say that I'm very happy and pleased that you invited me, because I have learned a few things from you as well that will help my family also to be able to move more in this direction.
In that direction.
And to focus more on our spiritual development.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. And I think what you shared will help anyone who's looking at this show to understand that we all have different jobs.
Yes.
And it takes everyone, to help everyone else.
Thank you.
Thank you to viewers for being here. We thank Dr. Avila. We thank you. We thank our cameraman, Mark and Louis. I always thank Tom Peterson for allowing us his evangelicals. So I hope you enjoyed this show. Like I said, discover your own charism, and we'll see you next time. Remember, God bless you. God loves you.